You and Your Young Child, a program of information and services available for you and your child from prenatal to age 5. You and Your Young Child has been brought to you in part by Minor Family Dentistry and by the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. Minor Family Dentistry would like to bring you the following dental health tip. It's recommended to have a dental checkup no later than your child's first birthday. An adult should brush for a young child and monitor older children's brushing to ensure a good job is done. Flossing should start when teeth are touching. Minor Family Dentistry wishes you good dental health. Families, including children of all ages, are welcome. Minor Family Dentistry, 1010 Downing and Hayes. Find them in the Next Tech directory.
So, you think you have skeletons in your closet? Come to Sternberg Museum, where we let our skeletons out of the closet.
Hello, and welcome to You and Your Young Child, the program devoted to early childhood. My name is Dana Stanton, and I'm the coordinator of the West Central Kansas Smart Start program. And with me today is Becky Pokorny. Welcome, Becky.
Hi, welcome.
Now, the one thing I want to ask you, tell us a little bit about where you work and your position there.
I'm a physical therapist with the Hayes Area Children's Center and have been there for 17 years.
Okay. So you should be an expert on our subject today.
Pretty much.
Now, today we're going to talk about something that's kind of a fun subject, at least for me, I think, baby's feet and shoes, and when should you buy shoes for your baby and things like that. So I guess the first thing we should ask you is, should babies be wearing shoes?
You know, babies really don't need shoes until they are up and running and going outside and playing outside. Mm-hmm. Babies, their feet spend a lot of time developing, and the muscles develop in their feet through being in contact with different surfaces and through reflexes that happen in their feet. So it's really important that they have full range of motion, and if you were to put shoes on them, you'd really need to put soft shoes on them.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about I know people will say, well, it's getting colder out. Shouldn't I put a shoe on my baby now? It's getting to be November, December.
You know, socks or little slippers or even really soft little shoes are probably the best for your baby until that, really they're outside on the gravel and running around where they might be harmed if they had contact with surfaces that were sharp or dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there a certain age where, now my baby's past the infant stage and they're getting up to be a toddler? At what point is it safe or is it recommended that they should start wearing shoes? And what kind of shoes?
Really let me go back. Usually about 18 months, you want to put a nice little tennis shoe, very soft kind of shoe on your baby. Something that if you were to pick it up and bend it, it would bend pretty easily. And something that's wide enough and long enough so that they can, get into it pretty easily. Mm-hmm. So that about 18 months is a good spot to put them in a regular kind of a tennis shoe. Mm-hmm. Or if they're actually going to be going outside, like if they're in childcare and they're going outside on a playground every day or out in a play area, you might want to consider putting them in a shoe just a little bit sooner. Mm-hmm. But something that you can pick up and you can bend and really flex is probably the best for a little kiddo.
Mm-hmm. Now, I remember when I was little, we used to have those little booties that were almost very constrictive on a child. So no more of those. Those aren't recommended.
No. Soft is better. Babies develop their feet and arches through being able to grasp with their toes. Mm-hmm. When you put them in a really stiff shoe, there's nothing for them to grasp, and that helps them learn how to balance, and it helps develop the muscles of their arch, and helps to set how their foot is going to look for later in life. Mm-hmm. So having something soft and flexible is really, really important for that development of arches and the bone and muscle structure for later in life.
Okay. Now, I know I've heard of a lot of children that, have had to wear like some sort of corrective shoes, or you've heard about children have to wear braces. What about some of those special circumstances?
Babies, when they're born, their feet are usually folded flat. I have to use my hands, excuse me. Usually kind of folded flat against their bodies because of how tight they're packed in the mom's uterus. And there are some special circumstances where a child may need to have some stretching exercises or corrective shoes. One is called, you call it pigeon-toed, or the correct term for it is metatarsus varus. It's a big word for saying that their feet turn in. And so that's an instance where a baby might need to wear a shoe that is more straight or more sturdy. Sometimes they even cast for that to correct that. But that's something that's pretty much recognized right at birth. And so anymore, no, the American Academy of Pediatrics is really recommending that no shoes for babies.
So I know a lot of times some of us will have very well-meaning older relatives will say, "Oh, you're ruining their feet if they're not in, in the proper shoes." But let them go barefoot. Tickle those toes.
Well, and something that, for example, when I was younger, everyone, baby's toes turn in, you're kind of pigeon-toed. And that's a normal posture for a baby. And your feet turn in until you're about 18 months, 2 years of age. There's just a normal twist to the lower part of your leg that corrects itself as you get older. So years ago, parents would be concerned because their kids look pigeon-toed. And so they'd take them to the orthopedist to put them in these big splints and make their feet go out and put shoes on them. And what has happened over the years is they've determined that that is not necessary. They're trying to fix a problem that fixes itself over time. So putting kids in those braces and those straight shoes and all that hardware, all it did was limit their mobility and the development of their feet and arches. So it just delayed everything. Didn't stop it, it just delayed it.
So it's just best to leave it be.
Yeah, so when your mother-in-law says, "Oh, they're flat-footed," babies have a big fat pad under their arches. So every time you put a baby on their feet, they're going to look flat-footed. That's normal for them. They don't need any special arches or in their shoes or any corrective shoes. And if you look at your baby, you want to look at their feet and see that the right foot and the left foot looks the same. Their right leg and their left leg looks the same when they're laying on their back and laying on their tummy. And so if you notice that one foot looks different than the other, or one leg looks shorter than the other, or one foot looks a lot different than the other, that's when you bring that up to your pediatrician or your physician that you see and ask them for some suggestions and some help. Sometimes it's just stretching exercises that they can show you in the office, or that a physical therapist could show you that will help correct that.
Okay. Now, suppose someone would like to ask you more questions. How would they get hold of you? Is there a phone number?
Yes. You can call me at the Children's Center. 625-3257 is my number there. And if I'm not in, I'm in and out a lot. So just leave a message and I will get right back with you.
And I believe at the Children's Center, your child could get evaluated for all sorts of things, just to make sure that they're caught up and at the level they should be, which I know is very reassuring for parents, for someone to say, your baby is right where they should be. Yeah. So they can give you a call. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Becky.
You're welcome.
You've been watching You and Your Young Child, the program devoted to early childhood. And parents, remember, you are your child's first and best teacher. Thank you.
Thanks for watching You and Your Young Child, a program of information and services available for you and your child from prenatal to age 5. You can watch the program weekdays in the noon and 9 o'clock hours. You and Your Young Child has been brought to you in part by Minor Family Dentistry and by the Sternberg Museum of Natural History.